Hey guys, I wanted to run an idea by you. This is something I've been wanting to do. I've been wanting to do a post-review discussion. So many times, even though my reviews are like super long these days, I find myself taking out things in the cutting room floor. Still, essential points. And then also, after a game releases, there are patches, there are expansions. In Destiny's case, definitely free updates that sometimes need to be discussed. So I had this idea of after I put up a review, maybe I'll put up a post-review discussion, a real long sort of podcast kind of thing where I discuss the game. I bring on some of my friends who played it with me, and in this case, so I'm gonna give it a try, and we'll see if you guys like it, and make sure to comment on your own discussion points in the comments. I think it'll be pretty fun and pretty cool, and you'll get to see a little bit about the behind the scenes types of things here. So I had this idea in mid conversation with my friend Del, who helps me out with the show, and so I turned on the webcam like in mid conversation. But before we get to that particular discussion, there's something new with Destiny. They released the Queen's Gambit, and so right now, let's jump to the discussion. Let's talk a little bit about the Queen's Gambit. I've got Del here with me, and
Hey.
so Del, Queen's Gambit came out. Remember in my video, I
Yep.
basically said this cutscene is there for no
Yeah.
reason other than a tiny inconsequential reason. Get the Gate Lord. Yes, it gives you access to the Black Heart, but it just felt unfinished, and you
Yeah, it
can
really
tell it
did.
was setting something up. And so I said it's setting up DLC later. And so I thought we would get substantial cutscenes in the future. And it turns out that the Queen's Gambit is just what?
All right. So as you know, there's daily missions like Vanguard dailies and Crucible dailies where you go and you do a set amount of goals and then you come back and you get reputation experience, things like that for turning them in. Well, the Queen's Gambit is literally just another reputation grind with 4 or 5 new bounties a day.
As if we didn't
With
already have enough
Yeah,
reputation
but
grind.
but it gets better. It's okay. So you get these 4 bounties. They're pretty ridiculous. Some of them are fucking stupid, like 25 headshots with revolvers in PvP. Okay, if you don't have a revolver, you're fucked. All right. But every time you do one of these missions, oh no, the worst one is kill 3 fallen walkers, and you have to be the person to get the last hit. Nobody else can get the last hit, or you don't get credit for killing that walker. So you're
Wait,
basically
so you're
forced to go through this
telling
by
me
yourself.
that, and so you're telling me that Bungie had like this extra time. I expected a cutscene. There's no cutscenes.
No, basically, you get the bounties, you do the bounties, you go in and turn them in, and this unlocks a mission on the mission menu called a queen's or a kill order by the queen. And you think that it would have been something interesting or even slightly different or on a different planet or something. They are the same exact story missions you have done over, simply heroic. You
Yeah.
go in, you do them, you're done. No cutscenes, no special dialogue, nothing except for a special reward and another set of reputation to grind.
Yep.
And on top of that, they seem to have an issue with changing the fucking missions. I've done the same goddamn Gate Lord mission for 3 days in a row
You
for
can
the same bounty.
you can tell we're quite frustrated because we've been playing the same missions over and over. I, at the very least, expected some substantial cutscenes, didn't get it, and I expected new bosses and things like that, didn't get it. It's the same content, the same assets. You even see here, you've got the servitor, high servitor. You're using the same things over and over. What is new is that you do get cool looking queen costumes, which is
Yeah.
essentially skins. So
So,
it boils down to more bounty missions and skins.
I really don't.
So that's that's the Queen Gambit in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Okay, so another thing before we get to the original discussion is there were patch notes. Now, for the longest time, we knew they were going to patch the game, and for the longest time, the patch notes were actually hidden. Explain to us a little bit about the patch notes that Bungie just released, and where can I find them? I'm on the website.
I'm
right
I'm,
now.
look, I'm gonna get the I'll get you the links in a
Okay.
few seconds here, but I had them copy pasted to me by Craig, who's really adamant and hates the game more than
Hot
anyone I
fix.
know
I
now.
found a hot fix
Yep.
here. Yeah, here we
And,
go.
And one of the posts was long ago during development that the Cryptarch decoded engrams of a given color into gear that same
Wait,
color.
no. Give me the link. Give me the link right now.
I don't have the link. I only have what Craig posted. But basically, Bungie stated that they fixed the loot cave. By the way, all you guys know what's up. And they also stated that they didn't, quote-unquote, adequately communicate the potential random outcomes of decryption.
Got it right here.
Yep. They didn't intend for everything to be the wrong color or the wrong color, or people to think they were going to get purples and get greens and shit, and that they're going to be fixing this in the future.
Wait, so the whole Cryptarch system was not what they intended?
No.
So they were wait, players see, I'm confused. They had an alpha, they had a beta. What are you talking about?
They posted notes saying that they quote-unquote did not communicate, and that they didn't expect rage to happen from shards of blues, or from getting blues from legendaries and greens from legendaries and greens from blues.
I mean, where was your QA? Not one person was like, oh man, what the fuck? I just grinded for 4 hours in this goddamn, weekly raid that I'm fighting the same things over and over, and I'm gonna get that. So what do I do now? I have to go back and play the fucking Vegas slot machines again for another 3 hours, 2 hours to try to see if I can get something. And they must have realized through us as a community, my review, you guys sending messages to them, that it's absolutely ridiculous to put so many random rolls in front of us in our loot. Not is it a random roll that the loot even drops, and then it's a random roll to see whether it's a real drop or an engram, and then you take that engram over to the Cryptarch, and then there's another random roll there to see what the fuck the engram is, and that random roll is so skewed to fucking you, especially when legendaries drop, and legendaries drop so irregularly, so rarely, that is so much bullshit. I think whoever made that decision, whoever was the project lead, done fucked it up, okay? And people probably told him, dude, this is not right, and he's overruled them. He's like, nope, this is how we want to do our game. This is part of this, I think, is Destiny smelling their own farts and thinking that this shit smells like roses, right? And we're going to make the game we want, and you guys will play what we want. Because there had to have been people there. There had to have been QAs. I've seen rows and rows of desks where they filter in players into their office. Unless all those people that come to their office are just so nice to them, and they're just so happy to be there that maybe, they don't say anything, but I don't know. But look at this. But shooting at a black hole for hours on end isn't our dream for how Destiny is played. So they're probably going to patch the hell out of the treasure cave from that.
They already did it. It's gone. It's completely gone. Well, there was something else that tied into the whole loot thing, and they're changing the engrams thing. So they flat out have admitted that strikes are bugged, and they are not supposed to be as hard. Even though they were this hard in the beta when they had thousands of people testing it. They said, since launch, we've tracked down an issue which has made strikes more challenging than originally designed by both increasing damage taken by players and decreasing the damage inflicted by players on boss. This was a bug.
There it is. Yeah.
It's been a bug, and they launched their game.
What the hell?
Without checking their in-game? How could this bug get past? Did anyone go and shoot at a fucking strike boss before the game came out?
We did. I was at a press event where we were playing the strikes, and they were this way, and we were saying, wow, this is really hard. I took that into account as a positive thing because I thought there was a variety of strikes, and I was like, oh, look, if I go harder, I'm going to get different bosses, and this shit is fucking hard, and I like things to be ridiculously hard. I didn't realize that at that time, because they were only showing a limited amount of content, that this is all there was. Like, this is literally repeated from the lower level strikes that aren't hard. So their balance was all messed up. Their balance was all messed up. Their loot drop was all messed up. The way they rewarded players was all messed up. It says here, reward celebration. Voice communication. What do they say here?
They said they're adding it.
Our vision for Destiny is that all players, even match-made players in Crucible Strikes, the Tower, or public spaces, be able to communicate with one another that promotes positive socialization. That's what I told him. I was like, don't let trolls dictate to you what you're going to do with your game. There's mute buttons. Just make the mute button super easy. That way, when we find other Angry Army members, if they ever fix the clan, there's nothing about clans here because that's very low on priorities, but if they ever fix the clan thing and give everybody clan tags, we'll be able to see, oh, Angry Army, hey dude, you're in the Angry Army, let's play.
Yep, they also addressed that auto rifles were really fucking broken, and they're nerfing those. They're buffing scout rifles sometimes in the future, and they're nerfing shotguns. Were the other highlights of the patch. They also acknowledged
one-hit kills with the shotguns. Okay.
They also acknowledged a lot of the exotic weapons are absolute crap right now. Bad Juju and Thorn being named specifically.
Not all of our exotic weapons currently live up to the promise. Well, you know what? It takes a lot of gumption and
yep.
balls to admit their mistakes like this and be like, hey guys, we made mistakes. And these are our mistakes. Boom, 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 boom. Holy Jesus, I don't know. It's like, where was the QA on that one?
It honestly, like you said, when you were going through the game and when we were doing the review, we had no idea how people could have gotten through this entire game and not pointed out these glaringly fucked up flaws, or even played endgame and said, hey, this is fucked up. My 500 damage rocket launcher is doing fucking 40 damage to this boss. What's going on? So the other thing I wanted to point out is that throughout this entire patch note, there was one thing that we were all expecting them to address, and that was to be allowed to trade, at least with people who were with you when something dropped for another class. They have said nothing on trading.
Absolutely no mention of trading here. In fact, I've seen Destiny mention trading,
and it's ridiculous.
And they say no, they don't want trading. They said, we want you to earn them. You should be able to tell a badass story for every sweet jewel in your arsenal.
You know, it's and I can understand that. I can understand that.
What are you talking about?
No, listen.
With the random drops, not one random drop, but 1, 2, 3 random different walls in front of you in the story. Go ahead.
This real fast is the other day we were doing the heroic level 28 Nightfall, and I was streaming this. And this is the hardest content you can do outside the raid. By the way, the raid's being blown through in 45 minutes now. But the hardest content...
That's irrelevant. Players are always going to find ways to...
So the 28 Nightfall, everything insta-kills you. You have to fight a boss that has like 1 trillion health for like 40 minutes and stuff at the end. Anyway, so we're going through, and all my friends are fighting through. You know, the 2 other dudes were fighting our asses off to beat this, and we finally beat it. And the guy on my team, who does the worst, and I mean, I love him. He was reviving us and stuff, so he wasn't like just not being useful. He gets an exotic assault rifle that he has absolutely no want for. Best assault rifle in the game right now for PvP and in general use. And the first thing he says is, hey, Del, I'll trade it to you for your exotic shotgun. I'm like, fuck. Because I have an exotic shotgun I don't want. He wants it. We can't trade it. Things like that. And it's like, oh, well, I would have given it to you if you could trade. I understand they don't want trading to be like, you know, Chinese gold farming, buy all your weapons, don't play the game bullshit. But if your friends are there on those epic adventures that you're talking about, and they're there when the loot drops, allow them to at least fucking trade the loot with other people.
Right there. Right. When somebody suggests to you, you know, Bungie, hey, let's do the trading system, don't go immediately no. Think about how you can implement a system that will not encourage gold farming and people like exploiting the game in order to sell these trades on eBay or whatever, right? Think of a system in order to avoid that. The system could be people in your fire team or something, or your friends, limited only, where you could do the want need trade system as they drop.
Diablo 3 was a great example of this. Activision also licensed that game. And when the expansion came out for Diablo 3, they removed trading completely except for the people that were in your game when a legendary dropped. Because they knew that the system of, oh fuck, I just got a barbarian weapon on my wizard, I'm going to trade it with the barbarian that was in the game with me is important. Bungie has that same flaw, and yet Activision didn't try to tell them they needed to do the same system that worked well in Diablo 3 or anything. Because when I'm in a raid with somebody and I get a Warlock helmet and the guy right below me is a Warlock, I feel like that's a little bit fucked up. Like, that shouldn't happen. There should be a way to give him the exotic Warlock helmet I just got on my Hunter. But there's not, and it's really disappointing.
No,
it really
so we got the Green Rat, and just to put emphasis on how unfair this system is and how wasteful this system is, I'm gonna play for you now a really funny YouTube video. All credit to Easy Now Leet. Let's watch this YouTube video together.
Wob wob, this is my intro. Wob wob.
How to get exotic orange weapons easy. Well, he meant yellow weapons, but how to get them easy. Step 1. Kill people. I don't know. Step 1. He's playing PvP. That's a little long, so here's how you do it. Play PvP, step 1. Step 2, be shit. Here's the end screen. Activity rewards. Boom! Exotic! 4 kills, 14 deaths. The fuck? The fuck? But maybe that's intentional, you know. That's the that's in there to please the casuals, right? And you've got the guy 21 kills up here. This guy gets 4 kills, be shit, and you get a fucking legendary.
Yeah, I have the same thing happen to me every time we're doing streams with that, and it's just, you go like 41-0 and you get fucking nothing. Even if you're number 1 over the entire game, and the guy that's like 0-27 gets a fucking exotic, and you're like, oh great. And
at least limited. At least if your kill death rate, if your fucking kill death ratio is under 1 or under 0.5, right? Lock off the exotic so that people don't fucking rage and turn off their game. You know what I'm saying? We're gamers. We're emotional creatures. Okay. Yeah. So it's time to get to our original discussion at length about all aspects of the game. I hope you guys enjoy it, and it's coming up right now. Yeah. You told me before I turned on the camera, you told me this really interesting story about the fucking Cabal. Say that shit again.
I was talking to a friend earlier who went and spent like 12 hours of his life, like earlier today or yesterday, I don't know, it's all blur, sitting on the Grimoire online and actually reading some of the lore and stuff. Yeah. And there's some really key important things that they talk about on the Grimoire and in the lore and things that they don't include in game. One of the biggest things that I thought was like a plot device was that the Cabal have the ability to move planets and moons and have altered the orbit of Phobos and apparently have the ability to launch this moon into Earth and destroy the Earth and all this other crazy shit.
That's fucking awesome. Why wasn't that in the campaign? Like a fucking cutscene where the Cabal are fucking moving Phobos and threatening to fucking oh my god. Do you see does this not kill you inside though?
It does, because like they talk about a lot of these enemies in the game. Like the first introduction of the Cabal, which you agreed was one of the worst lines we've ever heard. Like the whole they kill planets just when they get in the way type of bullshit from Dinklebot. Like, they talk about the Cabal like they're this super powerful, amazing race that can just destroy entire solar systems and stuff. And, like, they move the planets and the moons and all this other shit. And, like, you don't ever learn anything about them. You don't ever get to really understand how
about anybody. Where the fuck does the Hive come from? I see no Hive ships. I guess the Hive are just on Venus, like under the ground.
They live in the planets like Necrons. That's what they do. They just live in Venus, I guess. But it's like, you never really understand why the fuck any of these races are here, or what they're doing, or why they're just letting us be.
I guarantee you there's somebody who painstakingly created all this stuff, and none of it is being conveyed to players, and they're probably super fucking pissed off with the way it's handled.
You know,
the Queen's brother. Yep. Look, there's no name for the guy. The poor guy.
Let's name him Bob.
Dude, this guy, he literally was somebody else in the original story. You saw that cutscene.
Yeah, I saw that
cutscene. I think his name was Crow or something. You encounter him, and it was like a farm. I read some posts on Reddit where some guy had played through the game with this early story, and the early story sounded fucking amazing.
It honestly looked like a Bungie story from what you were showing and what I actually looked into after watching your review. And I found that post and I read about it. And honestly, I don't think that guy was pulling it out of his ass. It was way too elaborately crafted and stuff. If he is, he's a really good liar.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's really sad. And I think you were right in saying that Activision came in or some other power came in and just tore it apart either through corporate money or some sort of like hierarchy.
Yeah, and I'm just so surprised for $500 million. We got like 8 hours of campaign, and then right away the end game starts. And what is the end game in this game?
The end game in this game, like that was another thing. Yeah,
like,
it strikes and redoing shit you've done.
But
like,
they're all set on this in the same locations that you just finished completing in the campaign. I mean, if it wants to try, it took the worst out. It wants to be this quasi MMO, but MMOs generally have like great fucking backgrounds and areas that you play in and interesting NPCs that you encounter. There's none of that in this game.
No, there really isn't.
You go to the tower, everybody's, not even the NPCs barely say anything. You can't interact with anybody. You can't talk with anybody. That is the smallest hub area I've ever seen in an MMO type thing.
Yeah, and it's only holds 16 people.
Yeah, and there's no crafting. There, you can't be a part of guilds. I talked about that in the review, that our clan is completely fucked. Like, look at this messages. I have 10,220 messages of people that all want to join, and like people are like mad at me and like think I'm a fucking jerk to them. Every
time someone tried to join the clan or get accepted, it failed or rejected them.
And people were
they got a message
I need to know,
saying,
fix this for me. Well, we can't fix it. This is the way it was. 100 member limit. I don't understand 100 member limit. All we wanted was the Angry Army tag. I did express my disappointment with the system, but ultimately it's their decision.
That's true. Well, we didn't expect it to be 100 people. Like, we could have managed 500 or 1,000 maximum in a clan, but to have 200 clans was a little bit too much.
Yeah, you'd have to find 200 leaders. Anyway, let's
get
off that, because not a lot of people have that issue because they're not a part of clans. That was just something that bothered me. Honestly, it feels like their writer guys got fired or something in the middle, and then what we have there is people rushing together to put something together. Because you see that Bungie trailer where initially, at least their E3 thing, you show up to the starting level of the game on a ship, and you're standing tall and proud, and you're already a guardian of the city. There was none of this, the ghost searched for your dead body, revived you from the dead, and that wasn't there. Maybe they were hiding that because they didn't want to spoil the story, but there's no story to spoil because it was never addressed in this fucking game. There's just... It just seems like the story, or there's like bits and pieces left of what was supposed to be there, and no character development at all for anybody. There's no character development at all for anybody.
Not a single person gets that. No. And you're right, it does feel like something cataclysmic happened in the development process that completely changed the foundation of the game and everything. And it's really, really obvious that they put shitloads of work into the lore and with the Grimoire and everything, and it's just...
A lot of people give Master Chief shit for being like this faceless guy with
but that was his
he actually had... he has way more personality than we have, It's crazy.
I mean, like I said, one of the biggest things that really keyed in on it was that, like you said, the trailer. And, Bungie is good at storytelling. Like the whole thing about Earth being attacked in Halo and how much that mattered and how
Could you imagine if they did that in this game? There's 4 different alien factions. There'd be just war everywhere. Yeah, and that's what it's supposed to be. GameSpot, that reviewer, Kevin, put it best, where it's like you feel as if there was a better story that you're just showing up late to, right? And all the good stuff already happened, and now you're just in this world, and this is like the crappy part. You're in the crappy part,
Yeah, you're in the janitorial services, cleaning up all the alien filth left over.
Which makes no sense, because it's like, obviously if the aliens were attacking us, something had to have stopped them, and I guess that they would say it's the Traveler, but we never got to see that battle, and we don't know why the aliens don't continue to press on, blow the Traveler out of the sky.
I could tell you, but
well,
but
yeah,
I won't.
I had to do. I hated that guy so much.
I hated him. He's like,
I love the voice actor, dude. The voice actor. I don't know if it is, but it sounds like the dude that's always in the medieval movies with vampires and werewolves.
Oh yeah, dude.
I forget what his name
I know
is,
what
but
you're
he's so
talking
cool.
about.
Anyway, it's just so repetitive. Like unlike Borderlands, this RNG system, Borderlands rewards you right early.
Oh yeah.
And it gives you the badass stuff sooner. And then the rest of the game is you finding a variety of badass things that just keep one-upping each other and that just stay within this badass field. And Destiny is so stingy with its stuff. And then the good stuff, there's really not that many of them because they're exotics. And that may have to do with the PvP balancing, because they're like, well, we can't do a dynamic gun system like Borderlands, because then you take those dynamic guns into PvP and they would be completely unfair.
See, you say that, but you know full well there would have been ways to balance it, like normalizing
I guess you could
damage.
use a completely different set of weapons. No, don't say that to normalize the damage stats, because that's exactly what they did here, and it's still cheap as fuck.
I'm saying in the sense of like normalizing special ability damage. Like say, a pistol that fires rockets, they would make the rockets do the same damage as like any other, pistol rocket would do.
Yeah, and it's as if they wanted to do the Borderlands thing, because you remember those gimmicky things that you pointed out where it's like the weapons have different stats, where it's like, fire and electric and stuff, but
those don't do anything anymore.
Don't do anything.
They have no purpose.
They don't feel like they do anything. Like, I've shot something and it says immune or effective or whatever, but there's just not enough feedback happening that you feel like anything is different at all.
I'll tell you straight up, the only things I've noticed that elementals do is that some shields take more damage from certain elementals, like the Hive wizards take really more damage on their shields, just their shields, from fire damage. And I've noticed that the weekly strikes, like the heroics, have modifiers that make certain elements do more damage. But shooting things with fire doesn't light it on fire. Shooting things with void doesn't.
And I think
slow
bosses,
down
they don't take that type of damage. Like, if you hit like an arc damage boost, it doesn't work on bosses. So it's like, what the fuck? I don't know. It's just, there's a serious lack of like really nice gear dropped at post level 20, and when you do this post level 20 thing, like, you can't even look the way you want because of that goddamn light rating. I was talking with somebody who said that Lord of the Rings Online had a very similar mechanic, and it was called Radiance. How crazy is that? Bungie does light, and there's this other system that was exactly like it called Radiance, where the armor had that stat, and that was the only way to level up past the soft cap or whatever. And it was a terrible idea that backfired, and the whole community hated it because they were running into the same similar problems that players are running into now. It completely destroys the customization. Bungie likes to talk about how players can be who they want and customize their character, but they can't after level 20. They absolutely cannot after level 20. If that new piece comes in with one more light, you have to throw out your cool looking, helmet and replace it with that shitty looking one. It's just, and remember how we pointed out there's so few gear types that some gears are not even used again. Like, remember that weapon at the very beginning of the game? You never see a badass version of it.
Like, as far as the AR-15 and stuff that you get at the beginning and everything like that, I mean, you're right. There's not even like a transmuting system where you can go and apply skins from different things onto higher level gear or anything thoughtful like that. And that's one of those things that tie back into like MMOs, having features like that, for example, in a lot of MMOs that lets you copy the looks of something else onto another item. but they took the worst aspects and left out the ones that would make the most sense to have in this game, and it makes like I can't understand who designed the system, because I don't.
An amateur, an extremely rookie person who maybe did minimal research, and let's say they get the idea from Lord of the Rings Online, they definitely didn't follow through and see how it played out, because they would see it was a disaster and they had to change it, and they had to give players back the ability to own their characters and the ability to look the ways that they want, and transmutation or locking a certain look. There was this helmet for warlocks called Raven something, and it had like this like Guyver, and it was so awesome. I got it like at level 4 or 6, never saw it again. And I played this game for like so many hours, it's ridiculous. Never saw it again. There was an early level gloves that were red and black and looked awesome. Because it was early level gear, you never see it. You never see it again, and it's a damn shame, because there's just not enough different models and gear up where it's. Like they were being so lazy with, hey, let's be an MMO, but let's not really.
Yeah, it was.
Let's not really take the time to develop like all the bonuses.
It feels like the guy that designed their system had never actually played an MMO before, and he just read about things that MMOs did and like talked to a few people, and then decided to just take all the crap he guessed he figured out and throw it into the game as a design process with the team, because anybody that has ever played an MMO would have told you that you want to get loot when you kill bosses. And with their videos, like the one you showed where they were showing purple and green items pop out of a fucking chest, there is no chest in the game where that actually happens. No chest spurts items when you open it. Nothing at like one that point ever happens.
At one point there was, because it's right there, and that's the kind of shit that's interesting. It's rewarding. Like if the boss dropped that chest and then you open it and like all this shit comes out and you're like, yes, it immediately makes you want to fight that boss again. You want to fight the boss again when he drops that shit. Here, he doesn't drop anything. You don't want to fight him again. He's a straight bullet sponge for hours. At the end of the match, you get a Vegas slot machine rolling system, and you could end up with something that you can't use, or that's exactly the same as the thing that you already have.
I think the best example about the Halo games is, did you play Halo Reach?
Yes.
Did you try the multiplayer in the sheer staggering amount of customization that multiplayer had for player look?
Yeah, it's like
it was absolutely crazy how much cosmetic shit was in that game.
And you're telling me that this game is more expensive than that game, and it's barren. It has nowhere near the same amount of customization. Isn't that crazy?
It's nuts, and
that's downright criminal that they're honestly, using that much money and can't even give us an equal amount of content from 5 years ago or however long Reach came out. I don't remember.
And honestly, it feels like they really fucking okay. I'm just gonna go out on a limb here. It feels like they completed a game and then cut it up.
Or they completed a game, cut it up. Yeah. That's what I think it is.
It doesn't feel like they completed a part and then
shit
are
is
doing
done.
Other parts.
It's just waiting to be released.
I feel like they fucking finished it and tore it out of the game to be put in later. Not are working on it right now. I feel like they were like, all right, this game's done. Let's take out Chapter 2, Chapter 7, Chapter 9, and keep all the shit in between, but who cares if it doesn't make any fucking progression sense or anything, because we're going to make shitloads of money when we sell it in a month or two.
And and it made up the money so quickly, and then it was because they sold it on, like I said in the review, Bungie's history, their legacy, and what we expect from Bungie, because we saw Halo Reach, we saw Halo 2, we saw 3, we saw all this stuff, right? And we were expecting bare minimum that, or at least on that level, or close to that level. Here, it's not even close. And so the alternative to what you're saying, which is damning, which is quite possibly true that this shit is done and they're releasing it a little bit. Think of the alternative. The alternative is, no, it's not all done. They're still working on it. And they don't have anything. and they're still working their asses off to get it done. If that's the case, what the fuck happened? Seriously, they must have lost all their competent developers or project leads.
Yeah.
I don't want to throw developers under the bus. I want to throw project leads under the bus. Maybe these are different managers that would submit something and have it be terrible, and all that time was wasted, and then they have to throw it out and come up with something completely new. It's so... So the alternative is even worse. We're almost hoping that all that shit is done and they're just ready to release it on free content and shit like that. But no, it's going to be paid content. But the alternative is even worse, that it's like, no, this shit is not done, and they couldn't recreate... they couldn't bottle lightning like that one guy said.
You want to know what bothered me as well on a staggering level? And it's the fact that, okay, so there's like, like 10 different weapon types or some shit. There's like pulse rifles, assault rifles, pistols, scout rifles.
Oh, we can't even pick up alien weapons.
That's what I'm getting into, is there are 14 types. I'm on the Grimoire right now. They have pictures, they have descriptions, they have mechanics listed. They even say they deal solar damage, they deal fire damage, they deal all this other shit. They have all this shit in the game. There are 14 different alien weapons across all 3 races that I have unlocked or seen or been killed by, apparently. But they never fucking give you the chance to use them. So you're stuck to these human weapons fighting aliens that are using these really fucking cool, like the Cabal fire fucking rail guns at you and shit. And they fire machine guns and Gatling guns.
Oh my god, and some of these weapons just scream Halo. They scream.
They do.
Oh my god, my brain can't even process. This gun looks exactly this, and we can't wield any of it.
No, we can't. Man, and they could have done so much by adding these guns having drops, and they could have balanced them so easily, but it would have added so much more to the game.
That's part of the reason why you want to continue to play. It's a small reason why you want to continue to play Halo, is because you get these unique drops. I don't want to say unique because let's flash back to 10 years ago. You know what I mean? That shit wasn't common. It's like, whoa, you get to wield the alien stuff? Yes! If we were attacked by aliens, that's the first thing I would do. You know what I mean? It's like, fuck our shitty little weapons. Let's use some of these advanced technology and turn it around.
Yeah, like, I don't understand. For example, the Boomer. This devastating arc weapon is said to contain a shard of some dead celestial body, lobbing bolts of rotting starfire. It is a ruinous and tactical weapon and an instrument of siege. Why the fuck don't we pick that up? We pick up the evil sword for one mission that apparently destroyed worlds, and then destroy it. Why? I guess we just destroy everything, I suppose. The one thing I do want to point out, and honestly, it didn't get slammed on in the review, is that the entire time we were playing the game and running through the game and doing these missions, we thought that Bungie had no fucking idea how to do boss fights. No fucking idea what mechanics were, or team-based mechanics, or any special effects or anything. So we thought that, well, it's not in the game because they don't know how to do it. Then I get to the raid, and the entire fucking time, they knew how to do this shit. The raid had all of this. Team-based mechanics, unique boss mechanics, unique weapons, drops, all this shit. And they just chose not to include it in their storyline, or try at all to implement it anywhere else in the game other than in this raid. Yeah. And that they locked out to like 90% of their player base anyway.
Exactly. And, the game wasn't developed with cooperative in mind, it doesn't seem like. There's nothing in the game where you're doing things together, like one person has to be on this part of the level while you have to be on this part of the level so you can shoot down, and there's none of that. It's the level design, it's terrible. But in the raids, you're right, you actually have to cooperate, you actually have to do these things together.
You actually need 6 people to even open the front fucking door, because it involves, like, for example, right as you get into that raid, the first mechanic you see is there are 3 fucking pillar summoning circles. You have to have someone in the pillar. Of all 3 of those pillars, someone has to be in them at all times to keep summoning the pillar. And if at any moment an enemy gets into the pillar circle, it breaks the pillar and it falls down, and you have to fucking do it over again. So it's these teams of 2 in 3 different locations fighting like hell and coordinating and like sending dudes over to fire rockets from different parts to help out the other circles and all this other shit, like right off the bat. And you're sitting there like, why the fuck isn't this in the rest of the game? Why isn't there anything like this in any other part of the game rather than just this raid? And I guess that's what Bungie meant when they said, oh, the whole game changes at level 20. Yeah, you actually put some fucking thought into the content, but you locked it out to 90% of your goddamn player base, so great fucking job. 90% of people are never going to see the game change in that regard, and even if they do, they're quickly going to realize, oh, this is fucking worthless. Why am I doing this? I'll just go farm a cave for 6 hours.
Yeah. My God, the Guardian outfitter still has the same fucking shaders.
Yeah.
For sale. And they can't even bother to make more shaders. There's literally like 12 shaders in the game total, 22, something like that. When
You're
there
gonna be
should
really
be
jealous.
300. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
$500 million and we have fucking 20 shaders. It's
You're going to be
hilarious.
jealous of the one I got today. I got my Cryptarch to level 25. That was another thing I want to say, is that people were like on the forums, they were like, as you level your Cryptarch up, you have a higher chance of getting purples from purples and blues from blues. I'm level fucking 25 with the Cryptarch. That is literally like several hundred purples in at this point. And he's still giving me blues and greens for fucking purples.
Wow.
I identified 7 today, and I got nothing. No purples from the purples. So do not sit there and tell me that maybe it's like a 0.01% chance. I don't fucking know. It just doesn't make a difference at this point.
The poor gunsmith is completely useless.
Yeah, he doesn't do anything. You know, he's a quest turn in for exotic bounties.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, he
That's
got
about the
one
only
job.
purpose he had. Oh, anyways,
Anyways, so that's our short discussion on That's our long discussion on Destiny. Little post review discussion.
I would love it if you guys in the comments would discuss it yourselves. Maybe
up
do
there.
so in the comments. Go ahead and leave your own top reasons why things that need to be fixed with Destiny, or things that suck in Destiny. And yeah, that's it. We'll see you guys on the next Angry Joe Show.